Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Destiny recently released the reveal of the fall expansion 2020 for Destiny 2. In this expansion, in this reveal, they showed that a new subclass or a new element type is being added called Stasis. This is element of the darkness, and most importantly, it looks like an ice subclass. Now, the community has long speculated about an ice subclass and ice abilities, and I want to weigh in into some of that because I've been speculating about this myself for about as long as the community has, which is since the release in Destiny 1, when we understood that we had Arc, Void, and Solar subclasses. So what I thought I would do is I've got my editing program here, DaVinci Resolve, and I thought we'd take a look at what the trailer can show us, try and glean what we can from that, speculate a little bit, and then I'll throw out some of my ideas that I've had spitballing and such as to ice oriented abilities. It looks like the ice subclass. It's not the ice subclass as far as lore goes. Here, it's called Stasis. Stasis meaning, stuck in time. It probably has a bit of time manipulation in it, and it seems like a fair level of energy manipulation to it as well, evidenced by the freezing things. Perhaps since this is the darkness. Perhaps it is actually... Why is my... What happened? Oh no. We'll do it like this. Apologies if it's a bit choppy. I chopped out the pieces in the trailer that were, of the subject of the Stasis ability. It appears that Eris Morn gets it really quickly. She is a bit more attuned to the dark, and so and she was a guardian, so it makes sense that she starts tapping into the darkness subclass fairly quickly, especially since the line between dark and light is so very thin, as we are often reminded. So what can we expect with this new Stasis element? Well, we've been told that it's a full new element, so it's not exclusive to subclasses. It'll also appear on energy weapons and such. We'll have grenades and melees and all the stuff that comes with the perk trees. We'll probably get 2 perk trees, I'm guessing, possibly 3, but I think that we'll get 2 on the launch of this fall expansion, and per 2 subclass trees per subclass, like 2 for Titan, 2 for Warlock, 2 for Hunter, and then we'll probably get the 3rd later on, is my guess. Let's look at what they show, and then I will continue the speculation. So in this trailer, the first glimpse we have of Stasis gameplay wise, instead of in the cutscene, is this orb. I believe this orb shows up a few more times. I'd say that this is probably some ability that we're seeing right here, like a grenade, or possibly melee, maybe a super. I think that's a grenade. Then we see what the the element has been doing to these enemies. Visibly, it's covering them in ice. I'm guessing it's a debuff. The Cursed Thrall on Mars currently cause a ice debuff of sorts that slows us down and limits mobility. I'm guessing it does rather the same thing, as well as probably a damage debuff to the enemies, is what I'm guessing. Maybe a health loss or defense loss. Okay, now here we see the super being cast by the Titan. Here, let's go at this by frame. Okay, so this looks to be the starting animation of the cast, and the Titan is enveloping itself in ice, it appears to be. Or, I bet lore reason, it's probably the absence of energy around him, which causes things to freeze. It'd be interesting if this same ability, this same element, is able to cause things to heat up. It doesn't seem like that actually at the moment, but Titan encasing himself in ice, that actually follows my spitballing speculation pretty closely. I'll pick up on that later. We got a Warlock with a staff of ice, which appears to be shooting something out of it, maybe a beam, but we'll see later. It looks like projectile. Oh no, you see the trail end right there. All right, clearly a projectile. Sends ice. We don't get to see the ice actual impact because it cuts to something else with ice exploding. We can probably, my guess is this projectile explodes with the area of effect, causing whatever freezing debuff we see here. Or, well, everything's covered in ice. I'm pretty sure that this staff covers things in ice with some sort of explosion once it hits the surface. Alright, continuing, we see this Vex get frozen, go beyond, yes. We see a bunch of dregs frozen, some explosions. Don't know the source of the explosion. Could be the Warlock subclass, could be Hunter, could be the Titan. They never quite allow us to figure it out in this trailer. They show some casting, some attacks, but they never show the results of the attacks directly from the animation. So we can never be sure. Here we have a grenade being thrown. Some more frozen things. Oh, there's that orb again. The juxtaposition makes me think, again, it's a grenade. Might be not a grenade, but we just saw that Titan. Looks like a Titan. Yeah, Titan. We just saw that Titan throw a grenade, and then we saw that orb. Again, they might be messing with us. These explosions might be from a super, they might be from a grenade. So just because you see a super in one shot and then an explosion in the next shot does not mean it's from that super. They might be tricking us. Alright, I do think this is probably a grenade effect. So if that's the case, this grenade perhaps, once it explodes, has a bit of a lingering effect, maybe? It's hard to tell because this is also a slowed down panning shot. It could be that it's not actually there for that long. Perhaps it's like a solar grenade? Man, like a flare grenade? Or vortex grenade, where the grenade lingers there and it continuously, well, I guess does icy things, continuously freezes things, I suppose. Perhaps this debuff is not an on-off sort of thing, but it gradually builds up in power, or maybe it has to build up to a certain point to even do anything. Frozen Captain, it looks like. Alright. Here we have the Hunter appears to be activating the super. It's got some like ice hammers, probably ice pick themed. Yeah, actually, yeah, they've got pointy ends. Yeah, there we go. 2 ice picks. I don't, at first when I saw this, I thought, oh no, not another Blade Dancer variant. It doesn't appear to be a Blade Dancer variant. When we see that throw. Boom. Now, again, we don't get to see the impact. We don't get to see what this does. This kind of seems like an agile Titan hammer to me. Solar hammer, kind of. Hold on. Oh, actually, now that I'm looking at it, this kind of reminds me of a Blade Barrage. Throws it, and all of a sudden there's no more in the Titans, in the Hunter's hands. And you can see a bit of the red effect that enemies have when they're debuffed. That appears to be above these Vex's heads. And, oh, we do get 1 frame of the impact. It does appear to have an icy explosion impact, and aimed at the ground instead of directly into the Vex. And we can see that they're being frozen. I think that we can see that their legs are frozen before the rest of them is frozen. So that's interesting. Perhaps parts of the enemy can be frozen without the whole thing being frozen. Or maybe that's just the effect of the impact. Like we're looking through a filter or piece of glass. And not the actual mesh or texture of the enemy being changed. Alright, and then we have an explosion here. This silhouette in the middle it doesn't exactly look like a Fallen. It doesn't have 4 arms. It kind of makes me think that's a Titan in there. Like a Titan AoE? We already have Striker Titan, so I'd be kind of disappointed if this was just Blade Barrage and this was just Striker Titan with a new effects added, which I don't think it would be. New elements are too distinct to just be reskins. That might just be an enemy dying in there. That'd be a really weird animation for a powerful Titan to be in, to have his 1 arm way out like that, but it could be the Titan. Alright, and then we see some of the... It looks like the grenades going off. That could be shrapnel, like a shrapnel effect of the grenade, icy shrapnel. Although that kind of looks very dark to be icy shrapnel. No, wait a minute. Okay, you can kind of see it. Sorry, I'm not slowing it down. I don't really have a slow-mo button on my keyboard. But you can see that this grenade comes out and then it stops once it gets to its full diameter of the sphere. Just for a few frames. Here, let me show that again. So that's probably the lingering effect grenade. And it looks like this grenade being thrown right here is a impact grenade. I'm thinking that there's probably a grenade that probably several of them freeze things in different ways. Probably one bounces, then explodes, freezing things immediately. Probably one is more of an impact grenade and freezes things slowly in an area. And then there's usually at least one sticky grenade and one crowd control grenade that covers a larger portion for longer of the map, but in a strange shape, or shape specifically made for crowd control. I'm thinking void wall, or the trip mine. Okay, and then we just see more things being frozen. We see all 3 being activated. Ooh, here we see that the Titan does seem to have a large mass of ice, just kind of not as formed in a clear shape as the Hunter and Warlock. Actually, we see it on, it looks like both hands. Here, let me use my mouse. Look, one hand over here, other hand over there. And this lets me speculate. Well, this actually goes very well with my speculation. So, here, I'll just have this all play as I talk. Alright, so, here's some of my speculation, some ideas that I had before seeing this trailer. Some of it, it's all just speculation and ideas I had about what they could do with the ice subclass. Now we already have Titan barriers and barricades and such, so we can rule that out as a possibility. There might be some specific class buffs that the Titans get to their barricade abilities, depending on what tree they have activated for this new Stasis subclass. But that's neither here nor there. Now grenades, I covered that for the most part. We probably got a shoulder charge for the Titans that is Stasis themed, because we have one for Void, Solar, and such. We probably have some sort of throwing knife projectile for the Hunters. We probably have standard melee abilities for each of the subclasses that are just a regular punchy melee that have a bit of stasis in them. And then for Warlocks, we're probably getting a ranged projectile melee as well. And then, let's see. It looks to me like the angle for the Titan would be self-preservation, self-defense, self-buffs and such. Probably some teammate buffs depending on which subclass you pick, or skill tree you picked. I'm thinking the Titan encases himself or herself in ice to resist damage significantly and suffer. Depending on how significantly the Titan could suffer a mobility decrease, maybe be unable to sprint or unable to jump or something like that, and get powerful melees. So a slow, tanky, close range combat sort of thing would probably be used for, you know, the traditional RPG role of a tank, I would guess. The Hunters kind of looks like a DPS to me in this. I'm not really sure where they would go with the Hunter, other than, you know, freeze things in a very pleasing way that feels very skillful as per Hunter abilities. Then for Warlock, it seems very, well, I'd say caster oriented, as the Warlock is usually. You know, I'm using RPG terms. Bungie did say that they're going to move more, what is it, RPG-like? So I was thinking before this, oh, maybe the Warlock makes a snow globe effect, where it's just a traveling globe around the Warlock that freezes things, or slowly freezes things inside the globe. Actually, after seeing this trailer, it looks like you swish and flick your wand to decide where you freeze things. Also, so I've got the Titan bias. Most of my ideas happen to be Titan orientated before this. Especially with this, I'm thinking the Titan might have an explosive ability, like you're using your super, you're walking around covered in ice, you're meleeing things that get close to you, and then too many things get close to you, and you hit R2 instead of R1, and you explode outwards in ice. It's probably something you want to do at the end of your super to maximize the amount of time that you're tanking DPS. That's if I'm speculating correctly. I mean, I could be way off base, so don't give your hopes up. Other notes as well, Cold Heart is probably being, well, I can't say probably. Maybe they'll leave Cold Heart as it is, but Cold Heart is probably, I keep on saying probably. Cold Heart would be a prime example of a weapon that would be changed to the new element type. Of course, new weapons are probably being added. New weapons will be added of this element type. I'm guessing not many will be changed to this element type. they're probably going to stay as they are, but Cold Heart just makes sense to be changed to this new element type, Stasis. Or, well, maybe not. Maybe we can say that they didn't have access to dark powers. Oh well. Anyway, more Titan ideas. You could, maybe these abilities could be given to the other classes. Who knows? So again, my idea for the Titan is activate super. Titan gets encased in ice and walks around all tanky like. Well, maybe one of the perk trees is that while walking around encased in ice, things that are too close to you gradually freeze. That would maybe you have to target the Titan if he's too close in order to save your own skin. If that Titan is an enemy in PvP, for instance. In PvE, it would make a lot of sense for a Titan that's frozen to get a lot of defense and serve as the tank, and enemies would target the Titan. But in PvP, no one has to target anyone. They can choose who they target. So it would help encourage players to target the icy Titan if they faced some sort of penalty if they weren't targeting the icy Titan with his super going right now. Like, hey, if you don't damage the icy Titan, you're gonna start slowly freezing if you're within a certain range. Not across the whole map, of course. Anyway, that's my speculation. I was going to put it into its own video at some point, but then this reveal came along and made it official that we are getting ice subclasses. So I don't know, it's sort of I can say it's my Destiny idea. Technically it still is, but it's influenced now, so oh well. Anyway, what do you guys think of my speculation and my ideas? Do you have different speculation? Do you have different ideas? Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? I don't know. What do you know? Put it in the... Sorry, that came out a little bit condescending. That's not what I meant. If you have ideas, put them in the comments, please. It'd be a neat discussion to have. Again, temper expectations. Don't get too crazy ideas and then... Or take my ideas as fact. And then maybe if they're a little lackluster in areas, then we get angry. Please... don't do that. Please temper your expectations so that you can be happy if these subclasses being better than expected, but not disappointed if they're not as amazing as our imaginations. As you know, games are limited. They do have limitations and balancing as well as technology and all that. So all that to say, yeah, again, thank you for watching this video.